entertainment, which is Trend Watch, and of course to sports. All right, there's a story that has made its way back into reckoning this morning, and of course, since last week, there has been a lot of back and forth about this particular story. From the year 1999, well, back when Patience Jonathan, the former First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, was still then Bayelsa State. Of course, there were news that some men and women were arrested back then.
Domestic staff.
Domestic staff. And then over the time, it has still been there. From
2019 up until now, 6 years.
It's been a long time. Now, the problem is there has been a lot of backlash from some people, and of course, some people have actually defended the action. But from my own opinion, I think the fact remains that she should temper justice with mercy, look into it from another angle, because these people who have been held in custody without trial for so long, they also have families too.
Yes, they've been to court 40 times, off and on. They've not tried this case because according to them, even nothing comes up. There's no evidence that has been brought against them. Okay, so if you ask me, I'll tell you that the Constitution actually says you have a right to own a property. But the Constitution doesn't say whether anybody has a right, you know, to encroach on that property. Now, if we look at it, a lot of people are blaming Patience. Patience has a right to report a case of theft or burglary or, you know, trying to kill her, as you say, commit murder. But she doesn't have a right to detain.
Well, the fact remains that ever since they've been arrested, they have not been tried. But then there has been back and forth. If you have no evidence against these people, why not release them? Why not let them go home? Because there was a clip of a particular woman who came outside, and the clip is still trending on social media, saying she's tired of being fed by other people. She's tired of begging to be fed by other people. She wants her own child to feed her, which is what he's been doing before he was arrested. But now, when this case is, you know, it has turned a little bit messy, and then there has been no response whatsoever from, you know, the angle.
You know, there's one of the people that were arrested. Actually, from what we gathered, is like he was working in Patience's hotel in Otoke, but he was arrested for burglary in Abuja. How do you piece those two together? So I do not know whether these stories, you know, sometimes the way the stories are going is like, is it the same story we're talking about? But in all of this, you know, even if you're going to tamper justice with mercy, I'm still looking at the judicial system. The judiciary is very porous here. Because if you look at it, everybody has tried to intervene. The human rights have come in. NBA has said they have tried to intervene. The Controller General or the Assistant Controller General of Okaka Custodial Center has said they've tried, they are following due process. So if you look at everything, it's still the judiciary. Because like I said, Patience Jonathan doesn't have a right to detain. I mean, you have reported a case, they take it. Why are you not trying these people? If they are prosecuted, then give them their jail sentence and they do it. Now you have kept them for 6 years. What will now happen at the end of the day? 6 years is a long time for a case like burglary and theft.
Well, the point still remains that these people, they also have families.
They do.
I'll continue to say that. But then, if I may ask you, at this point, if the judiciary have done the right thing, as you said, don't you think some of them are probably working according to instructions? And these are actions that are taken by people who have actually been put in certain positions by some people, which might actually mean that instructions have to be followed in the long run.
But that is not how it's supposed to be done. Are we following due process indeed?
Well, if talking about due process, I think that's one thing the government should look into. There are ministries and parastatals and MDAs who look into this, especially National Orientation Agency. They know how to sensitize people on what their right really is under the law and what they need to do when they find themselves in situations like this. This and more will be taking a look at on this show, Daybreak Live, this month. Don't forget, Dominion Television is your channel of choice. And of course, this is where inspiration meets entertainment. We'll go on a short break And after that, we head straight to our news desk as Uzoms Okechukwu is waiting.
Good morning. This is the Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Uzoms Okechukwu. Vice President Kashim Shettima has received the Crown Princess of Sweden, Victoria Desiree, at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Crown Princess, who arrived at the villa yesterday, was received by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Senator Ibrahim Hadija, who led her to the Vice President's office. According to the Swedish Embassy, the official visit to Nigeria from 7th April to 9th April 2025 aims to strengthen diplomatic and economic ties between Sweden and Nigeria. The highlight of our visit is the commissioning of the Swedish Trade Office in Lagos, which is expected to bolster bilateral trade relations. Young demonstrators under the aegis of the Take It Back movement have defied police warning and staged protests in Abuja, Lagos, Rivers, among other states yesterday. Clad in their signature orange berets, the protesters began their rally in Lagos at the Ikeja Underbridge, marching through major roads in the state capital while chanting solidarity songs under the watchful eyes of police officers. The Nigeria Police Force had earlier urged the movement to cancel its planned nationwide protest, describing the timing as ill-conceived and mischievous. However, in a swift response, activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore dismissed the police consent, rejecting claims that the protest scheduled for today was intended to undermine the National Police Day celebration. Family, friends, and associates of late Dr. Omololu Olunloyo have described the life and times of the late former governor for your state as a colossal loss which is irreplaceable. This and more, they say, as Dominion News visited the Mollet residence of the deceased.
For your state, as family, friends, and associates extended their condolences.
He was a great man by all standards. The greatest, by far the greatest of all the governors that had ruled Oyo State. Apart from possibly Chief Obafemi Awolowo and possibly Bola Ige, I don't see any other governor that one can say will match the kind of personality that Olunloyo was.
Olunloyo is a beacon of knowledge. He is an icon in all perspectives. Many people know him as a mathematician. It's not just mathematics. He was groomed in all fields.
was a no-nonsense person. He was pragmatic, he was realistic, he doesn't hide, he doesn't play seek and hide and seek game on anything. He's a straightforward person. If you had gotten an opportunity to rule this state for even 1 year, this state will have been turned to something else.
Deputy Governor Adebayo Lawal, who led members of the Oyo State Executive Council, condoled the Olunloyo's family.
His uniqueness, unique personality in many ways. Intellectually, you know that he was a person to beat intellectually. Secondly, he was a political icon, and he was an administrator par excellence. And here, he was a beacon of hope to so many people.
Widow of the late Dr. Olunloyo and siblings say the family will forever miss him.
A devoted father, a devoted husband, a loving and kind person. My husband, the way people see him outside is different from the way he is in the house. So they see a man who is very, they see him as something like a lion who's always growling, but really had a soft underbelly. He was a very quiet person. It was like a big teddy bear. Just wants to be called with, and
Born on the 14th of April 1935, Omololu Olunloyo was a Nigerian mathematician and politician who served as the governor of Oyo State from October 1st, 1983 to December 31st, 1983. Grace.
Independent National Electoral Commission has disclaimed social media reports that its chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, is rounding off his second tenure in office, has been sacked by President Bola Tinubu. A viral WhatsApp message had indicated that Mahmood was sacked and replaced with one Professor Olamilekon. According to the statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman Rotimi Oyekanmi, the process of appointing an INEC Chairman is the President nominating a candidate and forwarding his particulars to the Department of State Services for profiling. Meanwhile, the Edo State House of Assembly has named Jonathan Ebohan as the new majority leader following the emergence of the All Progressives Congress as the majority party in the House. According to reports, the APC had notified the Assembly of its new majority status and indicated that changes in the House leadership would be announced in due course. The APC currently holds 13 seats after 4 lawmakers defected from the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party, reducing the PDP's seat to 11. In business, Crude Oil Refinery Owners Association of Nigeria has said that the price of premium motor spirit petrol can drop below 400 naira per litre with the current crash in crude oil prices. The association argued that there is no reason petrol should not be sold at 350 naira per litre if crude prices eventually fall to $50 per barrel. They, however, added that the petrol prices will continue to rise despite the crash in crude prices and the reduction in its landing cost, stressing that unless the federal government continues the Naira for crude deal, the price of petrol will be on the rise. Talking sports, the Nigerian Olympic Committee has announced it has met the 28th March 2025 deadline for expression of interest to bid for the 2030 Commonwealth Games. In a statement released by Nigerian Olympic Committee spokesman Tony Nezianya said that Nigeria's bid for the 2030 Games in capital city Abuja will present a unique opportunity to showcase its development, enhance its global standing, and invigorate its sports culture. Nigeria can only commence a formal bid with the backing of country's government. The next Commonwealth Games will again be hosted in Glasgow, Scotland from 17th March to 29th March 2026. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to listen to us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cast. That ends Daybreak News. I am Uzoms Ukichukwu. Back to Abby and Dickinson. Good morning.
Welcome back from that short break, and of course you have the news right there with us on Dominion Broadcast. Yes, welcome back, and of course this is our newspaper review segment where we'll take you through all the major stories on the page of the newspaper. All right, so we are going to be starting this morning with the Nigerian Tribune, and of course there is a major story on Nigerian Tribune this morning as the Labour Party have had their back and forth in recent times, and of course it is still in the news this morning. LP crisis, Abure's leadership threatens sanctions against Obi Oti ahead of panel NEC meeting. You can find that story on page 15 and 16 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
All right, on the Nigerian Tribune, staring me in the face right here, youths defy police warning, stage protests in Lagos, Abuja, Rivers, Ibadan, and others. You can find the story on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, on the top right corner of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, Plateau killings, military to deploy more troops to troubled communities. JNI condemns killings. That story is on Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, also Nigerian Tribune, APC governors visit Buhari in Kaduna, say party is stable ahead of 2027.
All right, on the top left corner of the Nigerian Tribune, Beijing legacy for global advancement honors Awolowo Dosunmu. You'll find that story on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, right at the bottom of the page of the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Naira under pressure amid global tariff tensions.
All right, let's take this story on the lower third of the Nigerian Tribune as APC governors visit Buhari in Kaduna, says party stable ahead of 2027.
All right, on the left side of the Nigerian Tribune, UBEC disburses 22 billion to states for training of 224,000 teachers.
All right, that takes us to the New Telegraph this morning. Let's take the major stories on the New Telegraph. PMS improved domestic production boost refineries earnings to 3.68 trillion naira. You'll find that story at the topmost part of the New Telegraph this morning.
All right, just like the Nigerian Tribune, still facing me here, global recession looms as Trump insists on tariff. You can find this on page 3 and 4 of the New Telegraph.
And on page 3 and 6 of the New Telegraph, Afe Babalola decries increase in substandard varsities in the country. That story is on New Telegraph this morning.
Okay, also on New Telegraph on the bottom left side, police disperse emergency room protesters in Abuja with tear gas.
All right, APC takes over Edo Assembly leadership. You'll find that story on page 30 of the New Telegraph this morning.
Okay. Yakubu remains INEC chairman, says presidency, and this story is on page 2 of the New Telegraph.
Okay, just like on Nigerian Tribune, there's still a story that talks about NEC and of course the Labour Party as NEC meeting. Supreme Court skilled Abure faction threatens to sanction Obi Oti. You'll find that story on page 4.
All right, on page 3 of the New Telegraph, Tinubu promises to beget well-trained modern police force. This is from the New Telegraph on page 4.
Okay, talking about insecurity in the country this morning. Insecurity, design new strategy. Afenifere tells NSA governors. That story is on page 2, page 5, page 7 of the New Telegraph. You can get a copy and find it there.
Okay, from the New Telegraph, let's go on to these day newspapers. And just on the top, the very top, Afrexim Bank earmarks $3 billion to support locally refined petroleum products.
All right, still talking about Trump's tariff. That story is the major story on this day newspaper this morning. Nigeria's economic team set to meet over Trump's tariffs, and of course, we've got some riders there. As Edo, there is global uncertainty at huge level. That's coming from the coordinating minister of the economy, and of course, naira falls to 1,629 naira per dollar on official and 1,566 per dollar on parallel markets. Also, there's another rider there. World Bank calls for more transparency in government-owned enterprises. You'll find that story on the front page of this day newspaper this morning.
Yes, also on the front page of this day newspaper, on the right side, upper right, APC, unlike Jonathan, Tinubu won't allow himself to be routed in 2027 over insecurity.
All right, away from there, let's go straight to the blueprint. This morning will engender well-trained, tech-driven, modern police force. That's coming from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this morning.
Also on the blueprint, federal government to review budget parameters, sustain oil, mineral production volumes, and with the rider, our focus on budget adjustments, non-oil revenues by FIRS and customs.
All right, use your position to unite Nigerians. Abbas charges Alafin or Wade. That story is on page 14 of the blueprint this morning.
Okay, on the blueprint, we also have, we've begun technical upgrade of federal government media organization. And this is Idris talking, telling us this. I hope you get a copy of the blueprint and look into that story.
All right, CBN withdraws 5.5 trillion naira from system through TBS in Q1 of the year 2025. That story is on the blueprint this morning.
Okay, Labour Party back to trenches, Supreme Court judgment.
Of course, that takes us to the Guardian newspaper this morning. As we take this particular story, Trump's trade war fuels a recession. Fears disrupt FG's 55 trillion naira fiscal plan. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper.
When it comes to this Trump issue, it's on all the major, that's the major headline for all newspapers today.
It affects the livelihood of most people, especially a country like Nigeria, who depends so much on importation and something like that.
Absolutely.
And of course, not just Nigeria, even Japan, China, Korea are also reacting to this particular.
Because the story is everywhere. Yeah. All right, on the Guardian newspaper at the bottom left-hand side, Amnesty International demands probe into police assaults as protesters want Cybercrime Act repealed.
All right, end killings, insecurity across states. Falana tells federal government. You will find that story on the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Also on the Guardian newspaper, we engender better modern police force. Tinubu pledges to Nigerians.
Okay, there is on the lower part, lower third of the Guardian newspaper this morning, you'll find a story. EU pledges 300 million euros to support Nigeria's fight against terrorism. That story is right there. You can get a copy of the Guardian newspaper and, of course, read through.
Okay, I'll take this as our final story for today on the Guardian newspaper. Presidency hopeful of $1 billion CNG investments by the end of the year 2025.
All right, before we go to business day this morning, let me take this sporting story on the blueprints. And of course, it says Nigeria expresses interest to bid for 2030 Commonwealth Games. That story is on Blueprint newspaper, and that takes us to Business Day newspaper this morning. As Nigeria's FDI outlook dims over oil price rout, FG's 20 trillion naira oil revenue threatened. That story is on Business Day.
Okay, on Business Day, we have Nigerian stocks join global plunge on tariff turmoil, and you can find the story on page 21.
All right, mid left side of the business day this morning. Banking on bites. Lenders boost tech spend by 90%. That story is on business day.
I think that's about all on business day
all right,
for today.
That takes us straight to a short break. And when we return, we'll be talking analysis on Daybreak Live this morning. Don't forget you can watch us live on YouTube. You can also follow us live on our website. And of course, it is at Dominion Broadcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and on X, it's at Dominion Cast. Thank you for being here with us this morning. We'll be back after this short break.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, with the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking conversations, we bring you content that informs, entertains, and transforms.
Catch top-notch entertainment, including movies, talk shows, and insightful programs curated just for you.
Looking for cutting-edge documentaries, exclusive interviews, and lifestyle shows that matter? We have got it all.
Stay ahead with the latest trends, inspiring success stories, and must-watch TV moments only on Dominion Television.
Join a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, and African storytelling at its finest.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our social media platforms, and watch Dominion Television today.
All right, welcome back from that short break. This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, where inspiration meets entertainment. Don't forget, you can also watch us live on our website. It is at dominionbroadcast.org.ng. All right, what we'll do now, we'll go straight to analysis this morning. As I have with me in the studio, Mazino Obaro Ikime, who is a farmer and, of course, a public affairs analyst with me in the studio this morning. Good to have you in the studio.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, let's take this particular story on Nigerian Tribune, and it has been making waves since yesterday, and of course, probably a week before now, that there was going to be a protest across the country. But yesterday, in some locations, there were low turnout. In some places, they had, maybe mid-turnout when it comes to what we expected. But then, I want to ask you this question. Since the 2020 NSAS protest, the call for protest has seemed to have gone down a little bit. That is one. Two, when eventually there is a call for protest, people tend to jettison the idea and then stay back home. So what exactly is the problem in the country right now? Are we saying that since the NSAS protest, people have decided not to talk anymore? Because if you don't talk, you don't get the government to react to things that they should react to.
It's not a matter of people not talking. People are talking, but people also value their lives more than the difficulties in the problem in the country. After NSAS, up till today, I don't know whether there's anybody who knows the actual number of people that lost their lives. The government says that the troops did not kill anybody, the police said did not kill anybody, and nobody wants to lose their life over issues, even though the issues are pertinent. So I think that what's happening, maybe people said there was a low turnout for the thing, is because the youth in particular who are spearheading these things, they don't want to die. But the thing we should be asking is, why is it that people are always thinking of protesting? It's because there are no real ready solutions to life in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth. Everything the government seems to be doing is long-term solutions. And the people need certain things now.
They need quick fix.
Yes, they need quick fixes now. Not quick fixes that are not substantial, but quick fixes that will address the immediate concerns, which, unfortunately, we have to have short, mid, and long-term goals. They tell us, oh, tighten your belt, do this, do that. But then the lifestyle of leadership in Nigeria does not suggest that there's even hardship in the country. And these young guys are seeing this kind of thing. At my age, I'm not going to go on the streets. As much as I, empathize with everything that is the youth say, it's too stressful for me, to go and start standing in the sun and walking up and down. But the truth of the matter is that, things are really hard, and there is something called when you cork a bottle for a very long time. After some time, the liquid in that bottle, especially when there's gas in it, it will push that cork out. And we are gradually getting to that point in Nigeria. People are
We are
tired.
gradually getting to that point, or they got to that point in the year 2020.
No, even that 2020 thing, if you notice, at the beginning, those guys conducted themselves with responsibility. Even the guys, the Agberos and the area boys, they were controlled and contained with food, drink, maybe even some narcotics. But those guys were in check until they were provoked by the army and the military and the police. Of course, there were areas, parts of some areas in Lagos where people just took the opportunity to loot. They were not really focusing on what it was they were out for. But at the toll gate, everything was under control until provocation came, And, there are a couple of people who were at the forefront of that thing. Some of them have disappeared from the country because of persecution. Now, rather than address the issues that were raised categorically, everything is trying to be hushed up. And these spontaneous demonstrations or protests will continue to rise. And the truth of the matter also is this: people have a right to protest. As long as you're not destroying public property, you're not being a nuisance to the next man on the street, you are carrying out your protest in a decent manner, civilized manner, it is allowed. But in Nigeria, every single type of opposition is seen as enmity. And it should not be the case. We are all trying to, who wouldn't like a country that is standing vibrantly? Who? Everybody wants. And true also is that the average Nigerian, he doesn't need a G-Wagon. He just needs a vehicle that can take him from point A to point B with affordable fuel. Then when he gets home, he can put on his light without having to do solar options or generators, and light comes. Good roads, affordable hospitals. That's all. And these things are not rocket science. They existed in this country before, in my own lifetime. So it's not like one is talking about something that we've never seen before. We've seen it here.
Okay, if you are talking about the problems and you can provide the solutions, let me now ask you this question. Where did we get it wrong as a country? If we know the problems, we know how to tackle them, why don't you tackle them head on?
I think that this thing is a throwback to the colonial era. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming the white man for our problems. But the structures that were inherited, when the white man came here and came to forcefully lead us, he led us because he wanted to exploit us. And that's exactly what he did. So he was being patriotic to his mother country, but they were decimating us. When our own people took over, rather than look back and say, oh, all these things that these white men were doing before were not necessarily right, let's chart a new course. They just began to behave exactly like the European or the British man, the Englishman, and became as oppressive, if not more oppressive, than they were towards us. So that, to me, is the basis of all this. They don't understand. Everybody says, oh, I'm a servant leader. How many servant leaders do we really have? We don't have any. Everybody is a big man, an oga, and they want to oppress you. You are driving on the road, on your side of the road, somebody will come in the opposite direction with siren illegally. The one that is coming behind you is where do they want us to go? We don't understand the concept of service in this country, as far as I'm concerned, especially in government circles. We don't really understand what it means. We think it's to just show affluence and oppression. A governor or a senator is coming, nobody else should be on the road. So these are the issues that have now become. And look, they are raising the generations after them that are exactly like them. Many of them now are trying to push their own children into the public space, right? And those children, all they have seen is what daddy and mommy have done. So what examples do they have? Those are the examples that they have.
If you are going towards that direction, probably I should ask you this question. Too many people don't want their hands soiled. They don't want to do politics. They probably feel that's the best way to get your name soiled in one way or the other. So maybe some people actually have the idea to fix the country. They are not even willing to do politics. Now, the portal is open for people who actually can push their own children to do it. So whose fault would that be?
Let me tell you where the fault lies. Politics has become exceptionally monetized. So even if you have the right ideas, why would even if I had 5 billion in my account, I will not go and buy a phone for 150 million. Why should I do that? A piece of paper that has typewritten stuff on it. It's ridiculous. And that is the ploy to keep people who may have vibrant, progressive ideas out of governance. Because even if I didn't have the money, then somebody now comes and says, okay, let me sponsor you, Mazino. That guy wants to control me for the rest of my life. And I'm a man like him. But I have allowed a mess of pottage to, reduce my status and my stature. Because I've said, oh, okay, buy me the phone, 150K, 150 million, 200 million. As soon as I get in there, that guy is going to start pushing things at me. Take this man, take that man, put this one. That is where the whole problem lies. These things are not earned really by merit. But the truth also is that there are still decent people who have led. There was a woman who was minister for, I think it was communications, Mrs. Omobola Johnson. She went into that place. She served diligently and she has left. There is not one stain against her name. Nobody even, it's like we've forgotten her. That's because she came there to do a job. She served and she departed. Most people come to enrich themselves. And once they get that money, that's why they can push their children forward. Because they can, do you know how much it costs to campaign? I mean, everywhere in the world, politics is expensive. Absolutely. But the way we go about it in this country, I mean, I've never heard anywhere else in this world where you buy a nomination form for such significant amounts in a depressed nation. So it's only the people that have the capacity, financial capacity, that will buy the forms. Or people that they can push to buy the forms. And those are the people that become our bosses.
All right. If I may ask you this question very quickly before we leave that part of that particular topic this morning. Yeah. Okay, talking about making politics less attractive, maybe with little financial gain. As you said, it is meant, leaders are meant to serve. That's the irony of it. It's meant to be the other way around. But now we have, the way you put it, they are not serving, they're actually there. But then the point now is, if politics is this expensive in the country, what are the first solutions to put in place to make sure that it is less attractive to people who are just going to come there and then start, maybe mess things up the way you want to put it?
I think that the first thing, and it might be, I don't want to say, it's never too late to start something good. But we need to have a mindset change.
Don't forget, the majority of the people who are being appointed into positions, they are members of one family or the other. They are citizens and indigents of one state, local government or the other. They are representing their own people. And when they get there, what actually happens? What's the change of mind about?
The thing is this, let us not conflate issues. When they get there, they are not representing their people, they are representing themselves. That's where the mindset change has to come in. And that thing has to start from the unit, the family unit. Look, as a little boy growing up here in this Ibadan, I couldn't go into my father's house with a brand new shirt that he did not buy for me or my mother did not buy for me. I would be asked, who bought this shirt for you? And then I wouldn't even be able to wear it before showing it to them. This is a gift from auntie, this or uncle, that. All that has gone. Everybody is in a rat race, a race against time to just provide the barest minimum for their families to survive. So things like ethics and morals are being pushed to the back. And that's why we have the quality and caliber of people we have in power today. Because the whole value system has been totally eroded. But it can be changed, and it takes the effort and time of every Nigerian, not just the governors or the local government chairman. Everybody, especially on the home front. If you don't train your children properly, you are going to have a crisis. And this is what we're seeing in Nigeria today. The value system has been totally eroded. Look, and then even when you commit a crime and it has been publicized as a crime, there are never any recriminations, no punishment. So it's attractive. Commit the crime. We have something in Nigeria we call plea bargain, where we borrow this from Europe and America. When you go into a plea bargain situation in the US, you forfeit all the money you stole, everything, and then you still serve time. Here, you set aside a percentage, give the government, and you still keep the loot. And you see what I mean? So there's nothing is put in place to even deter wrongdoing.
All right, that takes us to politics. This morning, as Nigerians are trying to make ends meet, politicians and of course people at the corridor of power are already grappling for power for the year 2027. As APC governors visit Buhari in Kaduna, says party is stable ahead of 2027. That's not only the topic. The other one is the fact that people are already gathering, as El-Rufai is at the center of it all, gathering and of course trying to make a party out of SDP ahead of the 2027 election to unseat the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, we've been talking about what happens to the people or a common man on the streets, but then the politicians are already planning for 2027.
Yeah, because that's, you see, the biggest paymaster in the country is the government, whether it's the federal or whether it's the state. That's where all the money is. It resides in the hands of those leaders. So now, one thing about Nigerian politics is that your mandate is for 4 years. You can get another 4 years if you perform. In Nigeria, it doesn't matter whether you perform or not. When they come in, they believe they are there for 8 years. So they spend the first 2-3 years doing absolute nonsense. Then they find out that, oh, I have 1 more year left on this term. Then they start doing all these ad hoc things to make it look as if that there's development coming into the place. And then they start planning for another 4 years. The governors are going to tell the former president that the party is stable. What does that really mean? How does that translate to good for us in this country? The party is stable.
What effect does it have on the common man?
Exactly. Has the party helped to balance our lives? No. What they are doing, they are they are jockeying for relevance.
The question now is the country stable? If the party is stable, the country should be stable.
Exactly, and that's the point. We all know that the country is unstable. Look at recently another upsurge of killings we had in Uromi. We have in Middle Belt. David Mark was in the news yesterday.
I'm still coming to that.
So maybe we shouldn't go there. But see, of course, the country is unstable, very, very unstable. You know, yesterday I was coming back from Lagos on the expressway. I saw. I don't know what ethnic nationality that they are, in fact, because I didn't really stop. I just slowed down. It was near Ogere. They looked like Northerners, and then maybe I would suggest the other guys were Yoruba guys. I mean, the level of the way they were fighting, it was like they were animals in the bush. I am sure that 1 or 2 people would have died yesterday. And then if you go and investigate what is causing it, it will be some very, very infinitesimal thing that could easily have been resolved with dialogue. But everybody is tense. So you do this to this man, you push him slightly, he brings out a dagger, he brings out a gun, and your life is over. Because people, see, the value for life in Nigeria is so little. Very little value for human life. That's why you can see a dead body on the road, and the body will stay there until it turns into a skeleton on one of the busiest highways in Nigeria, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. You know, we are retrogressing to that state of, you know, life is nasty, brutish, and short in Nigeria, like Hobbes said. And that's where we are today. So when these guys go around and say we are ready for 20, Rufai and co are doing their own thing, all it is a bid to get power back into their hands, because they seem to have lost out in the last elections, if we may call them elections, you know. So I really don't know where we are going. That's the truth of the matter. I have adopted something that people may think is a very selfish thing now. I just want to try to do for myself and my family and my loved ones. Do the best I can for them. Look, I used to be so very, very into all this activism, talking on television, talking on radio, talking on Facebook, writing. But I realized something. Okay, or rather, let me say I have done my bit for that. I've done that for like 10 years. Let me face my life and my business. Thankfully, I have 2 children who are finished from university. So let me just try and make life a little better for them until they go into, they are both girls, they'll go to another man's house. Do you know what I mean? This is frustrating being a Nigerian. Very frustrating. All right, let's take this particular story before we go on the short break this morning. And of course, news broke yesterday that Yakubu Mahmood, who is the current INEC chairman in the country, was removed and replaced with another professor. Now, the problem is, it shouldn't have been news like that, but then the fact that people actually felt one way or the other, started pushing the narrative on social media, and then the federal government came around and said, look, no, there's nothing like that in the presidency. We have not changed Yakubu Mahmood. He remains the INEC chairman in the country. If the news traveled so fast, are the people really willing, or are they really thinking that the federal government should actually change him in the first place? That's the question, because if they were pushing that narrative so much on social media, it means they had ulterior motives. Well, I don't know whether the motives are ulterior. I think the people were not satisfied with the conduct of Yakub in the in these last elections. Yes. And I don't know also when last you have seen Yakub on television or anywhere. There have also been rumors I have heard that, oh, he's sick, he's in a coma, he's this and he's that. And then that's another thing with Nigeria. Why do we always like to cover things up? If the dude is sick, he's sick. Everybody falls ill. If it's critical, it's critical. I don't wish that for anybody, but it could happen. But I think it's largely a function of the fact that they were not satisfied with what happened in the last elections. I'm happy also that the federal government has now come and said, no, he remains. I'm not happy with his conduct too, but at least they have cleared their own position. They said, okay, this man is still INEC boss. Sure. But then, I think Yakub should come and say a few things to the people. Let's know what's happening with him. Because I don't know whether I do this. I have no clue whether he's in Nigeria even, you know. All right, I have had with me in the studio so far this morning, Mazino Obarikime, who is a farmer and of course a public affairs analyst. All right, we'll go on a short break and then we'll take some clips from centers of the protest of End Bad Governance yesterday. And after that, we'll be back in the studio this morning. Democracy,
kí òfin yìí kó lọ ìyá máa jẹ wá lápẹ́jẹ́ ká lọ́wọ́ kí àgbékalẹ̀ òfin yìí kó dúró gbogbo wa àti rógo tá a bá mú tó.
All right, welcome back from that short break. You saw the clip from some centers of the protest of End Bad Governance yesterday, and that was it. In some places, it was scanty. In some places, a few people turned out. But of course, the point was made. They came out to protest. Let's go straight to Afe Babalola this morning, as in is on the page of the newspaper. And of course, that's on New Telegraph, where it was Afe Babalola decries increase in substandard varsities in the country. We've got some standard institutions, federal government institutions, we've got state institutions, and of course individuals are also trying to invest into the education sector in the country. But right now, Afe Babalola, who is also an educationist himself, aside from being a legal practitioner, he has invested in education in the country, and he has arguably one of the the best private universities you will see in the country. And he has come out this morning the rate with which we are having varsities which are substandard in the country is becoming alarming. Your take on this, Obaro?
I subscribe entirely to what Chief Afe Babalola has said, because we have to maintain certain standards. We are driving between Lagos and Ibadan, Lagos and Benin, Lagos and Warri. You see all kinds of mushroom establishments, so and so university. Proposed, some of them, you look, maybe there are 4 structures in place there. Now, there's no way anything of quality can come out of such establishments. But there's supposed to also be a regulatory body, which I think is the National University Commission. Yeah. But those people, they get licenses. How do they get licenses? And then where do you recruit your staff from? It also probably means that maybe there's be a lecturer in University of Ibadan who is teaching in 3 or 4 different universities. Guest lecturer. Yes. Then that means that academic excellence and scholarship and research will suffer because he's dividing himself into too many places at the same time. And there should be a restriction. You see, we don't need to have that many universities. Let us equip the ones that exist, especially the ones that are funded by the government. Let them look. UI was a renowned center I was born on that campus. In 1975, my father went, he's late now, retired professor. He went on sabbatical to Harvard University. And by virtue of the way he had been molded by the University of Ibadan, he was made to head the Department of History. In fact, a special unit called the Teaching of African History was created for him, because when he came there was like an old Baba who was supposed to be the doyen of African history. So my father went to sit in one of his lectures. And after the lecture, he went to meet the man and said, "Sir, I don't think you have a proper grasp of these matters." My father had just been a professor for 2 years then. This guy had been in that, he was an institution. You know what he did? He took my father to his office, sat him down over tea or coffee, and they trashed out a syllabus. And he entrusted my father. That is because of the caliber, the quality
he's made of.
He has, and he came from University of Ibadan. Or it was first University College Ibadan and then University of Ibadan. But now I'm not saying, I mean, UI still seems to be trying and coping and all that. And I'm biased towards UI because that is like my village. But the private universities in particular, you don't see that rigor to achieve excellence where they are concerned. Afe Babalola is one person that stands out where that is concerned, because everybody I have heard, I've never been to the school myself, everybody I have heard talk about that school has spoken about quality and standards being maintained. And I think that he's eminently qualified to speak about such quality because he has done it. He has been there and he has done that. So I think people should listen to him. And then I'm also happy that he has the reach. He can reach the people that matter and speak to them directly.
Okay, let's take this particular one this morning, and that story still is on New Telegraph. Of course, there has been quite a number of Nigerians who have been migrating from one country to the other in search of greener pasture. And lately, we have had some really bad information about how Nigerians are being treated in some countries. But then, this news came out this morning. It's on page 5 of the New Telegraph. Saudi ban, Nigeria not affected, says FG. Now, the question is, should the government also be the one spreading this news? Because obviously the government should be looking at ways of making the country better so that Nigerians don't begin to travel abroad in search of greener pastures. Now, it's more or less like you are trying to tell people, as it is now, okay, you are free if you want to go. The country is, it's not part of the countries banned by Saudi Arabia. And there is a particular saying, they call them shagala in Arabian countries. They're more like house helps. So in countries like Libya, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Sharjah, they travel far and wide in Asia countries just to be house helps.
That speaks to
and
me.
Let me put this before you do that. Initially, there was a time in the country, even when I was born, that people would travel down from countries like Togo, Benin Republic, just to have that kind of job in a country like Nigeria. Even the not so wealthy families, average families, could afford one there. What's going on in Nigeria? When did it change to the extent that Nigerians are now traveling to take a job they used to give to people in a country like Nigeria? Don't forget, the history of Ghana must go in Nigeria. These are things we should be looking at. They came to Nigeria in search of greener pastures. And now Nigerians are trooping out en masse in search of a living.
It is just a pointer to the general retrogression where things are concerned in this country. We are moving backwards at an alarming rate. So now our young men and women are going to go and do Omodo stuff in countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman. Go and be a nanny. That's the name they give it. They don't say house girl, they say nanny. But basically you are a house help. And some of these people have university degrees, but there are no jobs to be had here. Therefore, they say, okay, look, so I don't die of hunger, of suffering, and I also want to help maybe my junior ones and even my parents. Let me go out there and take my chance. Sometimes you get there, you are treated so badly, but because you have not made what it is you think you would have made, you stay back there and allow yourself to be further diminished. It is just a pointer to the fact that things have gone totally wrong. You know, I hate talking.
Mazino, have you seen videos of Nigerians in prison in Asian countries,
yes,
especially places like Libya?
Libya. They are treated worse than human beings, worse than animals.
Some of them claim that organs are being harvested.
My brother, you see, that's it, you know. And then what does the government do about it? Because some of these, like you said, they are on video, so they are captured in color, living color. We'll make a little bit of noise, and usually people making noise is people like me and you, not the big boys out there who have the clout. They sweep it under the carpet. Of course, their children don't go through those things. How will I just enter a car and start traveling to the desert because I want to go to some white man's country? Is it not madness?
That takes us to trafficking this morning, Mazino. Talking about trafficking in the country. You know, going to Libya, sometimes it's not just an individual thinking, oh, I want to go to Libya. Some people, They do it as a business.
Yeah.
They take people, pack people, 200, 300 Nigerians in a bus, probably in an Hilux car, boom, straight to the desert. And then these people are people who have names. These are people that even in those videos, the Nigerians in the country who are shagalas, as they will call them, that they are making, they mention names. They are traceable. They are not ghosts. What's going on with the country?
We've said this thing so many times, so many different places. The country just doesn't care about its citizens. It doesn't care. I mean, that is the honest truth. Nigeria is still searching for Nigerians. Because most of us, we have been pushed so badly that we don't have any allegiance anymore. Someone will say, oh, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. When Kennedy said that thing, he said it in the context that America, as bad as it was with the record of slave trade and all that, still stood for its citizens. So that African American that is there, that is feeling so bad about being like maybe a second-class citizen, he doesn't want to come and live with you in Africa. He can come and do vacation here, you give him a chieftaincy, that he goes back to his country because he knows that basically, to some extent at least, his rights are protected. How can we, in this country, you have no rights really. We have it in the laws. The laws are not bad, but enforcement, maintenance of those laws is what our problem is.
If I'm to take it from you this morning, Mazino, you are saying being a second-class citizen somewhere outside Nigeria is a lot better than being here with the current situation of the country.
For some people, I can never be a second-class citizen in any country because I cannot take that kind of humiliation. I'd rather be here and fight my way through. And also, you see, the beauty, in quote, about Nigeria is this. I may just, tomorrow, without really doing anything illegal, I may just hit a rich vein of something that is not alien, that is alien to Nigeria, but absolutely needed. And tomorrow, I'm like Otedola. It's very difficult for me to do that in America or France. Yeah? But it can happen here. And we have so many of those kind of success stories. I think that's what also keeps most Nigerians back home. But for me to live here at 60, to go and do, what am I going to do there? Let me go there and spend my money and come back. Not to go there and go and do boy. For what? But I can understand the people that want to do it. Look at the youth. What is the plan for the youth in this country? And then if you listen to some of these guys talk, they are so intelligent. They know what time it is, but the country doesn't give them the time of day. And it's a shame. We're not protecting these guys. We are not at all. And the other day I was talking to my daughter and she said to me, Daddy, when will I ever be able to buy a brand new car? So I told her, when will your father be able to buy a brand new car? And that's the thing. When will I be able to build a house? That's what she was asking me. Because when you look at, I mean, you have cars, we're talking 65 million. 35 million for a little. How much is a Toyota Corolla today? It's like Tokumbo. I mean, things are just too hard. And that's why crime is going to increase, prostitution is going to be rampant, and all those negative things that we don't like to talk about, they are on our plates today. That is our food, unfortunately. And there are leaders in place. There are leaders in place. Or they're supposed to be leaders. They're supposed to be leaders in place. It's very, very frustrating. But the truth of the matter is also that these things can be rectified. Why they don't want to rectify them is what I can't understand. It's as if it's a sickness. Okay? Let's not put all the blame on the leaders because we too have a role to play. Yeah. If I'm going to cast my votes in the next 2 years and all of us in my community where I stay decide that these votes that we've cast, we are going to follow them to the end and make sure that they are actually counted. I mean, I don't know what you would have voted. You don't know what I would have voted, but we voted. So you can't come and say 15,000 votes from this community when there are only 5,000 of us there because you want to favor a particular candidate. We have to get more involved in the process. However, it can still be frustrating because they can use the agents of state, like the police and the, what do they call these ones in blue, to oppress you because you are trying to enforce your own rights. You know, Fela said something. He said human rights is our property. But in Nigeria, it's as if it belongs to somebody else, so we have to go and fight for it. But it's ours. As soon as we are born with fundamental rights. We now talk
about roles of government and roles of individuals in the country right now. If government have their roles and probably they are failing at that, what are the roles of individuals, Nigerians?
It is difficult for the Nigerian to define his or her role. Because,
and why is that?
Because there are no rules in place. The government is supposed to set the template. We are supposed to work within that template. So if you go outside, they say, this man, you've broken the law, and this is the punishment. But the government doesn't set the template. The government does as it wants. The most unruly set of people that I see in this country today, they live and work in government. Unruly. Go to the airport, I'm standing in queue. My boarding pass. One guy and 15 people come, and they just go straight to the front. I've been there for almost 1 hour. So I tell the guy, oh boy, you can't do that too. He turns back and looks at me. He says, who are you? I said, who are you? Who are you? You paid for your ticket, I paid for mine. Maybe the government paid for you.
Aren't there privileges that comes with being at the corridor of power?
No, privileges are not excesses. Well, look, have you not seen the prime ministers of some countries? They enter the tube, the train station, the train. You can never see, who is the president of America today? Mr. Trump. Bulldozing his way through on traffic. When he's coming, of course, the roads will be, traffic will be regulated. But he will not come and be doing woo, 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 pushing people up and down. I met, I think it was Tony Blair, inside a train one day in London. Tony Blair. You know, look, and then if you are performing well, and I see you at the airport and you are my governor, it might not be from my state, where I reside, I'm prepared to give my space to you because I see that you have my interest at heart. But if I don't see that, I don't care. You can go and sit in the VIP lounge, that's okay. Then you go from there to your plane. But you cannot come and push me out of my space just because you are supposed to be a big man. It doesn't work like that. So that day in the airport, when I started to make a lot of noise, everybody else joined me. The guy and his entire, they went to queue. He had police, he had everything. They went to queue. Because I said, you guys can stand here. This man is not going before me. A small boy. Babariga, so what?
All right, this takes us to security in the country this morning. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, though out of the country, says it will engender their well-trained, tech-driven, modern police in the country. I think that's one of the things we should be looking at in the country, and this should not be a topic we should be discussing now. It should not even be, having not done it yet, it shouldn't be in the paper. It should be results we're seeing that will make us know, okay, the president is working, and all what we are saying now is a promise. Are we to expect this, judging by the current situation of this administration, are we to expect that this particular promise will be actualized before he leaves office?
I pray and hope that it will be actualized. You see? But, you know, there's a lot of populism that our leaders do. They know the things that we want to hear, and they say them. When they say them, a larger percent of the time, they don't follow through. Like you said, are we really supposed to be talking about, from the day the Nigeria police was instituted, it should have been a natural progression of developing, training, retraining, both excellence, technology and resources. Look, a friend of mine is a police guy. They went to, I think it was Serbia, one of those countries where they had a conflict. As soon as they landed in the airport, everybody was given a laptop. There were 35 Nigerian policemen, not one of them knew how to use the computer at that time. None of them knew how to put it on. So they got to the place where they were housed, and they were seeing all their Oyibo colleagues moving, you know, and all the information from the controlling unit, like the headquarters, comes to the laptop. They didn't know what to do. They had to start learning, you know. So one Indian now asked them, how is it that the Nigeria police force has not trained you people in the use of computers? None of them had owned one. And this is not so far back. You see, when you interact with the police, if ever I understand how poorly paid they are, look at where they live, it's disgusting. But when you interact with a cop on the road, he's operating with you on the basis of antagonism. He's instinctively upset with you. Now,
before you go down that lane, should I ask you this morning that does it have anything to do with training?
Obviously.
Because an average policeman goes to training, I think, for 6 months, and then they have the uniform. Is 6 months enough to train a police officer in the country?
Because I'm not an expert in that area, I would say that I think that 6 months should be adequate. But then you now have to ask, what is the quality of that training? Yeah. When you see them at police college and they're eating gari from a bucket, I mean, look, their beds are supported with milk tins. How can they give of their best in the classroom? Then those people that are even instructing, they came through that same system. What are they imparting? You see, these are the issues. We have to, look, a lot of things we have to go down back to the basics and like start again. It will be more expensive, but ultimately it will be better for the country.
Is the problem in training, does it have anything to do with corruption from any angle?
Oh boy. Yes, so because sometimes, let's be fair, the government provides the funds. But the people who are supposed to disburse those funds and use them, deploy them, eat the money up. But then here's the problem again. When you know that this man has eaten money, you don't do anything to him.
All right, I have had with me in the studio so far this morning, Mazino Obaro-Ekime, who is a farmer and also a public affairs analyst on this segment of the show this morning. Don't forget, the show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Mazino Obaro-Ekime, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I do hope that next time we'll call you, you'll be here.
Sure, thank you.
All right, let's go on a short break. Don't forget, you can watch us live on our website, and of course, you can do that on YouTube. It is at Dominion Broadcast. Of course, you can also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Thank you for being a part of this show so far. We'll be back after this time out.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, with the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking conversations, we bring you content that informs, entertains, and transforms.
Catch top-notch entertainment, including movies, talk shows, and insightful programs curated just for you.
Looking for cutting-edge documentaries, exclusive interviews, and lifestyle shows that matter? We have got it all.
Stay ahead with the latest trends, inspiring success stories, and must-watch TV moments only on Dominion Television.
Join a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, and African storytelling at its finest.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all our social media platforms and watch Dominion Television today.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, with the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking conversations, we bring you content that informs, entertains, and transforms.
Catch top-notch entertainment, including movies, talk shows, and insightful programs curated just for you.
Looking for cutting-edge documentaries, exclusive interviews, and lifestyle shows that matter? We have got it all.
Stay ahead with the latest trends, inspiring success stories, and must-watch TV moments only on Dominion Television.
Join a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, and African storytelling at its finest.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all our social media platforms and watch Dominion Television today.
Blessed to give you sports update right here as scoreboard on Dominion Television. All right, quickly moving away from that, we're looking at the local scene where Shooting Stars denied attack on Ikorodu City. Shooting Stars have denied holding Ikorodu City players an official all-stage after Sunday Nigeria Premier Football League match day 32 encounter. The Oluyole Warriors were held at a 0-0 draw at Narudin Aworo side at Lekon Salami Stadium at Damasingba, Ibadan. Ikorodu City bus was reportedly vandalized by Shooting Stars supporters. That's the update we got on Sunday about the situation of Shooting Stars and Ikorodu City, and the report has been flying in back and forth with the situation. Moving away from that and still on the local scene, Honorable Benga Alegbeleye beat the 2024-2025 season will end on a positive note. The chairman of the MPFL board has said the season is going to end on a finishing strong note, stating that we began in August and we will finish in May. We have achieved the calendar, which is in line for the global beat practice. Alegbeleye told Eagles Radio, we are happy and definitely we will continue on this success. The Honorable Chairman Benga Alegbeleye also said, we have zero tolerance for sharp practice. And as you know, you can see the season, it will continue to progress in this way, making the MPFL the best in Africa. Remo Stars currently occupy the top position in the league with 60 points from 32 matches. Still on the local scene, Super Eagles head coach Eric Shells line up the strongest team for the Russia friendly. The Super Eagles head coach Eric Shells will use the strongest team for the international friendly against Russia. The historic friendly will hold in Moscow on Friday, June the 6th. It will be the first ever meeting between Nigeria and Russia at the full international level. It will be the first meeting between Nigeria and Russia. The core of the team from the matches against Rwanda and Zimbabwe will get another chance to play against Russia in the friendly. The Super Eagles head coach also scheduled to take part in a 4-nation tournament in England in June. Ghana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago are the 3 other countries that will compete in the competition. Moving away from the local scene, we'll be heading straight into Europe, where Nigeria seek to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games. Nigeria has formally expressed an interest in hosting the 2030 Commonwealth Games in Abuja. The Nigeria Olympic Committee, NOC, made the announcement following the executive committee meeting held on the 3rd of April in Abuja. The bid can only move forward if it secures the official backing of the federal government. The committee stressed that the hosting the Commonwealth Games would offer a strategic platform for Nigeria to exhibit its stride in national development. That's the update coming through from the Commonwealth Games in 2030. Moving away from that, we are still in the local scene where we are looking at our Nigeria Baller segment, where our very own players are doing great things right there out of Europe and also in Nigeria. Straight into that, we're looking at Calvin Bassey, who played for Fulham against Liverpool, and we can see he played 90 minutes, duels won 6 and also touches 61 with 7.1 rating. Also moving away from that, we have our very own Uche Cristantos with 62 minutes right there in the La Liga, and he plays for Getafe against Real Valladolid in the Spanish La Liga around 30. He had 2 assists and duels won 6 right there, 8.0 rating right there for Getafe. Moving away from Uche Cristantos, we have our very own Fisayo Dele Bashiru with 7.1 rating, 90 minutes played, 1 assist and 33 touches right there, and he played the game against Atalanta, where his own countryman, Ademola Lookman, also played in that game. They won that game 1-0 in the Italian Serie A, round 31 in Lazio. Moving away from that quickly, also let me let you know that Southampton have been relegated, but our very own Joe Aribo and Paul Onuachu also have been relegated from the Premier League this season. That's the update we are getting also from England, from our very own Joe Aribo and Paul Onuachu. Moving away from that quickly, also, let me let you know that Moses Simon also played a part, for Nantes, 2-1 victory in that beautiful encounter in the French League 1 round 28, where the game ended 2-1 for Nantes. He had 89 minutes, 1 assist and 16 touches for Nantes. Also, let me let you know that our very own Kelechi Iheanacho was also in that beautiful game for Middlesbrough in the Championship round 40 in England. 85 minutes he played, 2 assists and 31 touches, and the rating is 7.2. That's the update coming through. Also, quickly, still in the Nigeria Bola corner for you, let me let you know that in the Italian Serie 1 round 31, our very own goalkeeper Maduka Okoye had the 8.0 rating right there, where he played 90 minutes, 51 touches and 6 saves right there for Udinese, but they lost in that game to Girona 1-0. The sporting family moving away from the Nigeria Ballers corner for you. We're heading straight into the big game tonight. That's going to be the Champions League night of football. It's going to be a big game tonight in the Champions League of football. I'm so excited to see, the games coming up, where we have Arsenal against the Galacticos, the 15-time champions, Real Madrid, where Bayern Munich are also going to take on Inter Milan. And also on Wednesday, we're going to see FC Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, and also Paris Saint-Germain, who are the 13-time champions of the French League 1, against Aston Villa, who are also trying to secure, a Champions League spot right there for next season. But our main focus is going to be on the game tonight between Arsenal and Real Madrid. That's where our focus is going to be tonight, and also Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. Now, quickly, let me give you a quick beat about this update. Let me let you know that the Gunners, Arsenal, are doing quite well with looking at the Spanish opposition side, 5 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss going forward for them. Also, Real Madrid, remember, they lost the La Liga game 2-1 against Valencia. So it's a little bit, that in the UEFA Champions League, with 11 wins in their last 23 ties, Real Madrid have 12 UEFA Champions League quarter-final spots right there. Come on, that's just to show that, how do you hold on 15 Champions League trophy? You can only do it, and it can only be Real Madrid. Now, moving away from that, let me let you know that the players to look out for in this game is Bukayo Saka, who is eyeing a start after injury with 8 career UEFA Champions League goals, 7 at home at the Emirates Stadium. Also, the player to look out for right here is Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid, who has 10 UEFA Champions League goals this season, and he has that against English opposition, including 4 this season. Also, let me give you the update quickly that they all start to look forward to between Arsenal and Real Madrid, as Arsenal have lost 5 of their last 6 two-legged ties against Spanish opposition. So it's going to be a big game between Arsenal and Real Madrid. And trust me, this is one game you don't want to remove your eyes from the screen when you're watching this beautiful UEFA Champions League first leg game at the Emirates Stadium. Now, moving away from that, also let me let you know that Bayern Munich also are going to do battle against Inter Milan, and it's going to be a big game going forward between these two teams, at the Allianz Arena. And that's one game also you need to put your screen on to watch this beautiful game right there in Germany. But quickly, let me give you the odd start and key battle to look forward to between FC Bayern Munich and also Inter Milan. Leroy Sané has made 4 goals contribution across the last 3 Bayern games appearance this season in the Champions League. 3 goals and 1 assist. Also, we need to look forward to the man in the Inter Milan shirt. We have to look at Lautaro Martinez and also Dumfries right here for Inter Milan going into this beautiful encounter of the Champions League. One shocking thing is that Opta, I said Opta said Arsenal are going to defeat Real Madrid right there, and I'm sure Samson, we're going to be looking at this because it's quite funny that Opta has given the prediction. Opta has a body in sport that gives prediction to who's going to win the either the tie or the Champions League trophy. But right now, they've given it to Arsenal, which I'm really, really surprised to see why they are giving that trophy to Arsenal. But we're going to see the battle tonight at the Emirates Stadium right there. The sporting family, that will be all on Scoreboard right there on Dominion Television. I remain at Bayport Toluwanimi. Over to you, Samson.
About Arsenal, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain, of course, are doing that on their home turf.
And Opta doing their own predictions.
Opta also doing their own. The thing is, you have to give them their flowers when it comes to Champions League predictions, especially in midfield, in attack, and the likes. You have to give them their flowers for that. But then the question is, what gives them the assurance that Arsenal, at this time of the league, they couldn't even defeat Everton with the full squad? Bukayo Saka was there, and they couldn't. What gives them the feeling they are going to defeat Real Madrid? Probably because they will be playing at home, and it's a UEFA Champions League. Don't forget, these two teams have had long-running battle of supremacy when it comes to who defeats who. I think between both of them, they have had 4 games, and it has ended in 2 apiece. So I feel like Real Madrid still stand a chance. Parading players like Vinicius Junior, parading players like Kylian Mbappe, Rodrigo, Aurelien Tchouameni, Luka Modric. These are fantastic players who have always stood up to the occasions when it comes to Champions League games. So, I think I disagree with Opta with these results, but then we'll keep our fingers crossed until 8 o'clock in the evening.
Before I would love to ask Emmy, which prediction should we be going for in this game? Women also can give their predictions going forward with Arsenal and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. Would you love to give our predictions for this game?
Real Madrid.
Okay, away from the UEFA Champions League, Toluwani, you said something about the Shooting Stars Sports Club of Ibadan, the situation and their denial of holding Ikorodu City players on Sunday, the day before yesterday. I must say, I was there. I saw what was happening. It was not about holding the players hostage. The fans I was outside and I was also inside. So the fans were actually talking about the management. They wanted to see the management and have a word with them. It wasn't just about violence alone. So when I was inside, I heard what they were saying. When I was outside, I heard what they were saying. So it was more or less like the situation right there was just about the management. But then the management, while they were inside, were thinking if they released the Ikorodu City players to come out at the time when the fans were hungry, it could lead to something different. So it was more or less like protecting them.
Now the question is, why were the fans angry? That's the question. Because if you look at the first leg in Ikorodu City, there are reports that Shooting Star fans also were injured, going to watch that game right there in Lagos against the baby of the league, Ikorodu City. So we were expecting the same fate to happen right there in Ibadan at Damasengba Stadium. So my question is, why were they angry? That's the question. Why were they angry?
Well, it could boil down to the fact that they expected so much from Shooting Stars in that game. If they had won that game, they probably would have cemented their place in the top 3 and then grabbing a continental ticket. But then they failed to do that, despite so many scoring chances, and they missed them all. The point now is, if it goes this way, I asked you a question, I think yesterday, that do they still stand a chance of gaining a continental ticket? Don't forget, there is serious, stiff competition for that slot.
Actually, like I said to you yesterday, I said it's still possible, for Shooting Stars to pick up a continental ticket if they can go ahead to win the remaining games. And let's hope that, the situation report, coming from the camp of the management of the Shooting Stars and also Ikorodu City, can be little bit subside, because we know there will be punishment regardless of whatever it is, evidence you're going to bring out, there will be punishment. So we don't know is it going to be point deduction. If it's point deduction, there's a trouble already for Shooting Stars. But if it's moving to another stadium to play your games, or maybe paying a fine, then we know that. But if it's point deduction, it's major problem for the continental ticket right there for Shooting Stars, because you see Remo Stars already, champions. Rivers United also are claiming a spot also, and also you see the likes of Abia Warriors also being in that spot for that position for the continental ticket. And you see your club also trying to fight, and you have these issues coming up. It becomes a problem for the management. So I think the management needs to sit down, of Shooting Stars needs to sit down and look at internal problems, what's going on. Every day they complain about the referee situation in the league not favoring them here and there, and you come back to bounce back on situations like this, it's going to affect. So I think the board needs to sit down, look at the drawing board, what do we need to remove, what do we need to replace, addition, subtraction, multiplication, that needs to work for Shooting Stars going forward, because this is a big club, and we know that when we hear Shooting Stars, we want to always come out to watch beautiful game from these wonderful players. So I think once again the management need to look in deep and also soft situations are going forward in the league.
Now, basically, let me ask you this question before you go this morning. If you have asked me which team I think was going to win the UEFA Champions League between Arsenal and Real Madrid, well, I failed to give my answer because I didn't want to. But
okay.
I still believe that Arsenal do not have what it takes to defeat Real Madrid. That's what I'm saying.
No, I believe that this game is done and dusted. Why do I believe that? Because Real Madrid, I know the Champions League is like
the moment they get to quarterfinals,
that's the problem.
The moment they get to the quarterfinals, it's a problem.
How do you have 12 qualification already from the quarterfinal stage already for Real Madrid? And I'm sure Emmy's smiling, saying that Real Madrid already are winners for this round. But I'm going to say Arsenal have it all to do at the Emirates Stadium. Reason being because the Real Madrid defense is very porous, and there are players are going forward that would need to watch for Real Madrid, because if they pick up a yellow card, they are most likely not to play the next round. So Real Madrid are going to be cautious, and remember they came from a defeat at Valencia, 2-1 right there. So the defense of Real Madrid is porous, but not taking anything away from the Champions League, their home soil. I repeat again, their home soil. They don't joke with that. How do you have 15 UEFA Champions League trophy? That's a whole lot to Arsenal, who has none.
Okay, very quickly, your prediction.
Okay, my prediction is going to be Arsenal to win 2-1. Bayern Munich are also going to win Inter Milan 2-1.
All right, thank you, Zoluwani, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Samson. Nice to have you.
All right, welcome back from that sporting break with Oluwani Abe. We head straight for a break right now, and when we return, we'll go straight to traffic reports.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, with the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking conversations, we bring you content that informs, entertains, and transforms.
Catch top-notch entertainment, including movies, talk shows, and insightful programs curated just for you.
Looking for cutting-edge documentaries, exclusive interviews, and lifestyle shows that matter? We have got it all.
Stay ahead with the latest trends, inspiring success stories, and must-watch TV moments only on Dominion Television.
Join a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, and African storytelling at its finest.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all our social media platforms and watch Dominion Television today.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Ibadan, and good morning at the studio this morning. Here at Challenge, I can say for a fact that the traffic here is not a heavy one, because vehicles are actually moving, but at a low pace, thereby causing people going to their different places of work to get there later than expected. Well, according to reports, this is attributed to the construction going on this road, thereby making, I love the camera to just show us the construction going on this road, thereby making the two lanes to become one. And this means that if you are going or you are coming, you all have to just pass the same route, the same lane to where you are going to, until a particular part of the road where you now have to like divide. Well, the traffic regulators are doing a nice job. Talking of the OITMA, FRSC, they're doing a nice job just to see that things go smoothly on this road. I would just urge the Oyo State government to hasten up with the work on this road, so as to make things easy for people, for commuters, for road users entirely. And well, this is all we can say. Talking of traffic report here at Challenge Ibadan, Sheifumi Akinsoya reporting for Dominion Television Ibadan.
All right, that was traffic report right there at Challenge in Ibadan. You can see construction work going on at Idiodo axis, right to Malete Baptist Church, straight to Malete axis. Construction work is currently going on right there. But of course, the other parts of the road is still a little bit free. Just that if you are going towards that direction, you might just have to, know that it will take a little bit of your time before you get there. So mainly, if you are leaving home right now, you just know you add additional few minutes to your time belt so that you don't get delayed too much just by the timing you already have in your head. Affects Felele. So if you are going to Felele,
cut off.
Yes.
But I'm very sure any time from now the road will be open.
I think the other routes have been opened for Felele. You can follow Falana into Felele.
Or you can follow Scout Camp.
You can follow Scout Camp. Those are other routes.
Just like Sheifumi said, we hope that they speed up this work, especially before the rain. Well, the rains are here already.
The rains are here already. I think the major reason for the construction in that area is to forestall issues of erosion that happens around the bank in that particular axis. The drainage system are currently being worked on, and then there's an extension to Idiodo Felele Road. Some houses have been bulldozed in that area to create more space and then more waterways. Because it has been a recurring problem in that area for some time. Water flowing from Felele down to Idiodo always gets to flow over the road and then destroys. Even if you repair, it still gets bad probably in a few months.
I just hope this construction works, because one thing I always say is not about repairing or doing this, but doing it well, not with substandard materials.
Well, I think it's a little bit different to what we have seen in that area in recent times. So there has never been a complete overhauling of the drainage system like this, and this is totally different. And then there's an extension in that area that makes it that gives the waterways maybe wider space to pass, because the water flow into everything. I think the government is doing something really nice in that area.
We should wait.
Well, we should probably keep the pain a little bit to ourselves at this time. Might be a little bit rough, judging by the fact that going to our homes and then going to work might be a little bit difficult. But then with time, and when the road is finally good, and you know exactly why you are taking so much time.
After all, no pain,
no gain. All right, thank you so much for being a part of Daybreak Live so far today. It has been a wonderful session with you. Without you, we will not be here. Okay, don't forget, you can watch us live on our website, and of course, you can also do that on YouTube. You subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course, you can do that on TikTok. And on X, it is at Dominion Cast, and all other platforms at Dominion Broadcast. Samson Balogun is my name. Until next time, when we shall be meeting you, as a keep being good, keep being safe, keep being nice out there. Don't forget, the rainy season is here. Keep your waterways free.
Have an umbrella too, and for ladies, get your shower caps. Thank you so much for joining us today on Daybreak Live, reaching you from Dominion Television. I hope you join us tomorrow, because we have more stories to give to you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, but don't forget, Daybreak Live continues. God bless you.
Television.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, for the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking